Next at 9. This is Other Derana 24/7.
In tonight's headlines, government cannot be toppled, reiterates President. Consultation Task Force on Reconciliation recommends hybrid court. All Hambantota report documents to be tabled in Parliament. MS Dhoni gives up one-day international captaincy. We appreciate your company this evening. Welcome everyone to Other Derana 24/7 News Tonight. I'm Mahesh Jani. Let's begin with the local stories. President Maithripala Sirisena says that the national government cannot be toppled until 2020. President Sirisena made this statement addressing the 50th anniversary celebrations of Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation this evening. Speaking further, the president said that the government has not entered into any agreement with regarding the Hambantota port. The much debated agreement regarding the Hambantota port and industrial zone isn't even compiled. We have to prepare a technical evaluation report. The recommendations of that report are not yet available. The report of the Ministry Secretaries Committee, consisting of 3 secretaries, is not yet ready. There is a fallacy that an agreement is to be signed on the 7th of this month. We have not prepared a report to be signed yet. When I compile an agreement to be inked with another country, I ensure that it suits the country's constitution, heritage and security. We have no secrets as a government. Some say that they will topple the government in the near future. I must clearly reply to those who dream that they cannot topple the government or set up a new government anti-constitutionally or illegally before 2020. The Consultation Task Force on Reconciliation Mechanisms and its final report recommends a hybrid court with a majority of national judges as well as sufficient number of international judges. The report recommends that it should ensure at least one international judge per bench. The CTF reports also recommends international participation in the Office of the Special Counsel of Prosecutors and Investigators in addition to the provisions of technical assistance. We spoke to CTF Secretary Dr. Pakisoti Sarvanamuthu for more details.
With regard to the mechanisms, there are a lot of observations and recommendations that we have made which are in the nature of confidence building measures with regard to a new constitution, with regard to a repeal of the Prevention of Terrorism Act, with regard to demilitarization, etc. A number of the submissions made to us insisted that the mechanisms should be located in areas close to where the people who are most affected live, that the working language should be the language of the people of the area. Furthermore, that victims should also be part of the mechanisms when they function. We've also recommended that there be a constitutional right to transitional justice. We made a number of recommendations with regard to security sector reform, with regard to the role of women, with regard to land, and with regard to youth. We want to make sure that reparations are provided in cash and in kind, and that there are symbolic reparations too, in terms of memorialization, in terms of spaces for people to be able to heal. We've also made recommendations with regard to the Truth Commission, and we want the Truth Commission findings to filter into the education system as well, into the curricula. The controversial recommendation, so it seems, appears to be the one with regard to the hybrid court, and our argument is that in terms of the submissions that we received, we had submissions that were for a domestic mechanism only, an international one only, and those for a hybrid. The argument there with regard to a hybrid is that because of the perception of the judicial system in the country, that there wasn't sufficient trust and confidence on the part of victims, particularly in the north and east, but not exclusively so, in an entirely domestic mechanism. So because of the lack of trust and confidence, and also because of capacity, we have recommended a hybrid and said that once the trust and confidence has been built up again, and once the capacity issues have been resolved, the internationals can be phased out.
We questioned whether these recommendations could be implemented, given concerns over especially the participation of international judges.
The task force was set up by the Prime Minister. Our mandate was to find out people's opinion on the basis that those opinions would feed into and inform the design, the structure, the powers, the functions of the mechanism. So now we have got our report, we have handed it over. It is up to the government to take into account and into consideration what is contained in the report.
Minister of Development Strategies and International Trade Malik Samaravikrama says that the agreement to hand over the Hambantota port to Chinese company on lease basis has been postponed for another 14 days. He further stated that the decision was taken after the President appointed a committee with 6 cabinet ministers to look into the agreement. Sarath Amanugama, Ravi Karunanayaka, Arjuna Ranathunga, Sagala Rathnayaka, Nimal Siripala De Silva and Malik Samaravikrama are the ministers appointed to the committee.
Sign it within the month of January. We never said that we are signing it on the 7th. So what we are saying is that it's under discussion now. We have to sign, in fact, 3 agreements. One is joint venture agreement with the China merchants so that we have to form a company, local company, that is a shareholders agreement. Then we have to look at a lease agreement between the SLPA and that company which will be registered. And then the third one, which is the crucial one, is the concession agreement between that Sri Lankan registered company and the government of Sri Lanka and SLP. As far as the port is concerned, the land identified is about 1,200 acres. This land is required for the port services as well as for a refinery, a dockyard, LNG terminal, a cement plant. These projects are already been discussed and on the verge of being finalized.
Mahinda Rajapaksa put the CICT and gave certain things. Because of that, even if we want to give less now, we have a problem. That is the mess that is there. No, we are here negotiating. We are giving less than what they have given out. What we want to do is to get the 1.1 billion that is coming, that is 80% of the total cost that has been sunk in owing to the Rajapaksa uneconomical transaction. What we'll do is, when the money comes in, we will look at what are the high rate of interest that they have borrowed. We will first pay those off. And if what we are getting at, depending on the rate that exists, we will pay off or hold back depending what it is. If it's a lower rate, now there are definitely 2% concessional loans also. Why should we pay that off and ensure that we have opportunity loss? So we will prudently, judiciously ensure that we utilize the funds in order to ensure that we pay in the correct manner that is required.
Samaravikrama mentioned about the 600 billion that the Chinese are investing in countries. So how is that going to be worked out? Are they getting more shares?
That's also within the 80% or whatever percentage that we will agree on the concession agreement. So those are things that we have to discuss. Whether we get that 600 million as a loan or will our share be paid from future dividends. Those are matters that we have to discuss.
Your question is further, 1.1 billion be paid for 80% of the total cost of the port.
Yeah.
Now you've got to run the place, gantry cranes, you've got to have the equipment, all of them. So that's an additional infusion.
Yeah, we will not dilute our shareholdings, whatever is agreed.
Now remember, CICT was given for 15%. SAGT was given for 15%. Mr. Malik Samaravikrama and our government have been able to make 20%. You could see that we are enhancing what they have made economic mess out of it.
When we say 15,000 acres, it's not only from Hambantota port. We expect to take 4,000 to 5,000 acres from Hambantota, some more from Mattala, Munaragala and Abilipitiya to construct industrial zones. The joint operation has been spreading false rumours saying we would be taking citizens' lands without their consent. It is untrue.
Meanwhile, the United National Party claims that the Rajapaksas are feared by investments flowing into Hambantota. The Hambantota port and the Mattala airport was a dream come true for the Rajapaksas. As the new government, we decided to find a solution to this. Ships did not call at the Hambantota port then, but now we see ships. We have the strength to fill the Mattala airport with flights and also create 100,000 job opportunities. No one can stop this. Rajapaksas have a great fear now that their empire is falling apart and will be politically devastated. Hambantota people no more need the Rajapaksas. You can see the output after the vehicle is manufactured. That is what the opposition says, but we are the ones who are doing this. Not only Volkswagen, we have agreements with other vehicle companies too to bring European vehicles to Sri Lanka. We want quality European vehicles in Sri Lankan market. We can't play according to your agenda. Sorry to say this, but sometimes you interpret things wrong. The main agreement has been signed. It was there in the newspapers that we are going to sign an agreement on the 7th of this month. There is no such agreement to sign. In fact, on the 7th, we are going to launch it. We are not going to sell it. They are coming here to make profits. No one comes here for free. Even the chief prelates have told our chairman not to stop this because it creates job opportunities to the youth and to continue it without giving out anything on outright basis. Minister Faisal Mustafa claims the Delimitation Committee Chairman Asok Piris is unable to handle a mounting pressure and has resorted to criticize the conduct of the minister. He said this speaking to Ada Derana, reacting to what Asok Piris told us yesterday.
The Delimitation Committee report has been of much debate for some time. However, earlier this week, the matter became a topic of much controversy when Local Government and Provincial Council's Minister Faisal Mustafa refused to accept the report due to two members refraining from signing it. Yesterday, Ashoka Piris said that the minister should have accepted the report as it had the consent of three members.
At no stage did I say that if the other two have not signed, I will reject the report. Go back, get them to get their signatures. If they don't, come back to me, we'll take a decision. If 5 members have signed it, there is less debate than only if 3 members signed it. And the fact that Mr. Asoka Piris, who praised me 1 month back at the Information Department, has made certain statements of my conduct 1 month after, clearly demonstrates either he doesn't know what he's saying, or he's saying so for the fact that he can't take the pressure which is mounting against him.
Time now to take a look at business news. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says agreements regarding the Hambantota report will be presented to Parliament. He said this speaking at an event in Horana today.
When they
asked me, I said that we have only government lands. Who else have land to give? Others have 2-3 acres of land. We don't have them. If anyone wants land to commence a factory, we will give them. If anyone wants land to commence a hotel, we will give them. We have to come to 2 or 3 agreements about the Hambantota report. Minister Malik Samaravikrama will present the agreement to Parliament after making a special statement. We will work with transparency. There is no issue about it. There are no temples or archaeological monuments in these. There are 72 archaeological monuments in the Hambantota district. None of them are included in this. I don't understand why anyone should oppose this. It provides jobs to young people. People wait for 5 years, and if the government cannot do it, they will change the government. In such a situation, why should anyone oppose suggestions like this? If anyone opposes giving lands in Hambantota, Monragala or Kaluthura, they hoodwink the youth of this country because they don't let them have jobs. In other business news, time to take a look at how the Colombo bourse performed. Here's Imeshi Fernando with the stock update.
I'm Imeshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange, bringing you the market update. The benchmark all-share price index lost 5.61 points to close at 6,147.52, while the S&P Sri Lanka 20 index lost 0.77 points to close at 3,446.98. The turnover was 802.37 million rupees, with 11.85 million shares changed in hands in 2029 trades. The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,709.82 billion rupees. Top 5 gainers of the day were T. Smallwood Factories, Bansai Royal Resorts, Belvedere Resorts, Kahawata Plantations and Udapusa Lava Plantations, while the top 5 losers were SNB Leasing, Non-Voting, Waskadu Beach Resorts, Ceylon Leather Products, Renuka Foods, Non-Voting and Malayan Phipps. Today's foreign purchases was 320.31 million rupees and foreign sales were 501.99 million rupees. There were 4 crossings and the crossings turnover was 445.37 million rupees. Thank you.
Time now to take a look at the currency update for the day. In more local news, the joint opposition organized an awareness program in Ambalangoda of distributing leaflets against lending 15,000 acres of land to a China company, including the Hambantota report. This government says different things on different days. Cabinet media spokesperson Rajit Senaratne says that they will sign the port agreement no matter what problems arise. But in the morning he said that it has been postponed for a month. None of these agreements are legal. They are fooling the people as well as the Chinese government. A signed sheet of protest will be handed over to the president soon. Let's move on to sports news. Well, Indian World Cup winning captain MS Dhoni announced his decision to step down from one-day international captaincy immediately prior to the one-day international series against the English. He has announced his availability for selections as wicket-keeper batsman to provide the services for the three-match one-day international series with England and subsequent 2020 internationals. He has been the Indian limited over captain since September 2007, making remarkable achievements such as winning the 2007 World 2020, 2011 World Cup and 2013 Champions Trophy. He is likely to be replaced by the present Indian Test captain Virat Kohli.
Mahendra Singh Dhoni has led India in 199 one-day internationals, winning 110 of them. He has also captained 72 T20 internationals, leading India into 42 victories.
He's gone down the ground. I think it's massive. He has cleared it. That is a phenomenal hit from Dhoni.
Dhoni has scored 6,633 one-day international runs while taking 184 catches and 71 stumpings.
Whoa, how quick was that? Super piece of keeping from MS Dhoni.
He has scored nearly 3,500 runs in 60 test matches as Indian captain. Dhoni holds the record for most matches as captain of an international side with 331 games across formats. He is known to be the most successful captain in all three formats in Indian cricketing history.
What a match! Dhoni, you beauty!
In other sports news, Sri Lanka went crashing into 282-run defeat in the hands of South Africans in the second test played in Newlands, Cape Town. With Sri Lanka defeat, South Africa secured a 2-0 series win.
In the South African first innings, they scored 392 runs. Dean Elgar with 129 and Quinton de Kock with 101 were the chief scorers. For Sri Lanka, Lahiru Kumara claimed 6 wickets.
Got him, there it is.
South Africa, by declaring their second innings at 224 runs for 7 wickets, set Sri Lanka a target of 507 runs to win the test. Sri Lanka in the second innings could only manage to score 224 runs all out. Skipper Angelo Matthews and Dinesh Chandimal put up a partnership of 75 runs in an attempt to avert Sri Lanka from defeat. South Africa's Kagiso Rabada picked 6 Sri Lankan wickets in the second innings. Rabada was named the man of the match for his match bag of 10 wickets.
10 wickets for 92. Man of the match in Perth not so long ago.
In international news, to South Korea, first constitutional court proceedings have begun against South Korea's President Park Geun-hye despite her absence from the impeachment trial. Politicians voted to impeach Park last month over a corruption scandal, but the court must now ratify or overturn that decision. A scandal sparked mass protests demanding the resignation of the South Korean President Park Geun-hye.
The court's first hearing was postponed on Tuesday after Park failed to appear. Park's impeachment case is being heard in a court by 9 judges. It centers on her relationship with old friend Choi Soon-sil, who has been charged with a number of offences, including abuse of power and attempted fraud. Choi is charged with pressuring big businesses to pay money to foundations that backed Park's policy initiatives. Prosecutors have named Park as an accomplice but have not charged her because she has immunity while in office. Park is alleged to have given Choi access to government decisions and allowing her to exploit their close relationship to solicit money from corporations for foundations she controlled. Park's powers have been suspended after a December 9 Parliament vote to impeach her and is being reviewed by the Constitutional Court, which can take up to 180 days. Park is still formally president but has had most of her powers handed over to the Prime Minister, who would normally have few formal powers.
The only thing we have to fear is ask not what your country.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
We are indeed counting down to the inauguration of 45th U.S. President Donald Trump, scheduled to take place on the 20th of this month. In news related to Donald Trump, leading Brexit campaigner Nigel Farage, who has said that he wants to be a bridge between the British government and the new U.S. administration, will attend U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration this month. Farage will attend the event as a guest of Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant. The former leader of the United Kingdom's Independence Party, or UKIP, spoke at a Trump rally in Mississippi during the U.S. presidential campaign. He was the first British politician to meet the president-elect after his victory ahead of Prime Minister Theresa May. Farage spent decades campaigning for Britain to leave the European Union and helped to force then Prime Minister David Cameron to call the June 2016 referendum that resulted in the Brexit vote.
With the inspiration behind much of that.
All right, let's get some more insight into the new Trump administration. And I'm joined by Ada Derana's senior international affairs analyst, Anuradha Herath. Thank you, Anuradha, for joining us. Well, it seems that Trump is head-butting over the administration's pick and his pick with the new administration, especially with regard to ExxonMobil chief Rex Tillerson. How do you think that it will go when he starts his administration after January 20th?
Well, first of all, we have to see if Rex Tillerson and others will ever be confirmed. The confirmation hearings are starting next week, so we'll have to first see if they actually get through the confirmation hearings before we can talk about how well they will work together. But Rex Tillerson, as we know, the former chief of ExxonMobil, is creating a lot of angst among the Democrats, I think, primarily because of his relations with global leaders, primarily Vladimir Putin of Russia. They've had, intense discussions in business dealings, and they are known to have a very close relationship. So what Democrats and others are worried about is someone like Rex Tillerson, who is very powerful and have these connections around the world, how when he goes into the State Department, how that will affect U.S. foreign policy, whether there will be conflicts of interest. So these are the worries that the Democrats have had, and they have been saying that they'll really push not the confirmation not to go through of Rex Tillerson. They have, on their target, Tillerson is a primary person to go after.
Well, one of the other problems that Donald Trump seems to be facing, or rather, is the Russian hacking scandal. Now, the Democrats are saying that, apparently Donald Trump won because of Russian hacking, but apparently Donald Trump is just brushing it aside. How do you think the relationship between the intelligence unit in the United States and Trump is going to be after January 20th when he takes office?
Well, I mean, it's not a really good relationship, but then obviously you'll have new people probably leading these intelligence agencies. But even as we speak right now, there are congressional hearings going on where the current intelligence officials are giving testimony about what they knew about the Russian scandal. So we'll have to wait and see what comes from these hearings about the Russian scandal. It's creating a lot of concern among people whether they actually did have a hand in it. How much did intelligence agencies like the CIA know, and why couldn't it have been avoided? All these are real big concerns. But the hearings that are ongoing right now in the U.S. Will be key to answering all these questions.
Anuradha, the list of problems for Donald Trump seems to be continuously going on since he was elected the president about a month and a half back. But one of the key issues that he's been facing is that no celebrity wants to take part in his inauguration ceremony. However, his former opponent, Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, along with the Bushes, have said, they will be there. So what do you think, what's happening here?
Well, I think the way they are spinning it is that, it's the inauguration is not really about celebrity, so he's trying to spin it down. But yes, people like Celine Dion, Eric Clapton, and others have been invited and they have turned it down. Others are still, we're waiting to see if they will accept the invitation. But the way that the Trump team is spinning this is that the inauguration is much more than just who sings at the event, and it's really about the inaugural speech, what he has to say about his policy, and so forth. But since you bring up this matter of who will be attending it, I think we have to keep a watch, and I think there's some reports saying that they would like a global leader like Benjamin Netanyahu to attend the inaugural session. So if something like that happens, that's a key message when it comes to Israel-Palestine relations and foreign policy. So we'll have to watch who ends up attending the function.
Well, we have to leave it at that. Anuradha Herath, the Derana's international affairs analyst. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Mahesh.
Well, moving on, we have been telling you about Trump and about his actions and the run-up to the election and inauguration as to who he is. And we will be trying to bring that news to you soon after this. But before that, French centenarian Robert Merchant wheeled his way into the record books by cycling more than 22 kilometers in 1 hour. He set the much-talked record on a track near Paris at the age of 105 after training for 6 months for the performances. Well, we apologize. We are having difficulties in bringing that story to you. But with that, let's wrap up tonight's news on Ada Derana 24/7. Thank you very much for your company. For the very latest on 24 hours a day, just log on to adaderana.lk or like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Good night.
This is Ada Derana, and you're watching Ada Derana 24/7.